Welcome to the Alex Tech Explorer podcast, your source for the latest in technology, news and innovations. I'm your host, Alex Morton, and today we have an exciting topic to discuss, the recently announced Apple Vision Pro. The mixed reality headset is making waves on social media and in the tech world, as it is the latest addition to Apple's arsenal. Let's dive in. On the 5th of June this year, the worldwide developers conference, Apple, unveiled the highly anticipated Apple Vision Pro. They had leaked some information over the years about it and some hints that they were developing something like this, but no one had really seen something so comprehensive. Just rumours and little snippets here and there. Set to be available for purchase early next year, the Apple Vision Pro is the first major project introduced since the Apple Watch in 2015, so it's been a long time coming. Now, the elephant in the room is the cost. The cost of it is going to be whopping £3,500, which I have to admit is a hard pill to swallow. However, looking at it in more detail, it does look like it might actually be worth it, depending on what you're going to be using it for. Especially if you think about it as a business perspective, where you could spend thousands of pounds on monitors, on PCs, laptops, etc. This is an all-in-one, and you can have a dozen monitors up available around the user, keyboards readily available, mouse, etc., which don't get dirty and covered in crumbs. It might actually be worth it. Described as a spatial computer, the Apple Vision Pro integrates digital media, or as a way I look at it, augmented reality with the real world, creating an immersive experience. It boasts an array of physical inputs, such as motion gestures, which were just so minute, but was picked up nonetheless by the users. In the promotional videos, you had someone sitting on a couch, sitting there and literally just tweaking their fingers. And it was picking up on it, and they were interacting with this huge monitor that was displayed in front of them. So it boasts an array of physical inputs such as motion gestures, eye tracking and voice inputs, enabling users to interact seamlessly with the system, as seen in the videos where users were literally just tweaking their fingers and interacting with the monitors directly in front of them, small hand gestures being picked up by the multiple sensors on the actual kit itself. In terms of hardware, the Vision Pro features a laminated glass front, which I thought looked absolutely incredible. And I wasn't actually entirely sure that was a display. I did actually think, wait a minute, is that the person's eyes? But it is actually a glass display reaching out towards users. So you can tell if you're walking into a room, say there's someone using it, it's sort of like this crazy kind of flow mix of color, almost like a nebula in front of the actual user's eyes. It made me think immediately of Ready Player One, the movie. I can just imagine the design team were just like, you know what, we've got to replicate that. That looks incredibly cool. So props to Steven Spielberg there. But yeah, so when someone actually comes up to the user that's actually using it, they start interacting with the user, it picks up that someone is trying to communicate with them, and then it displays back the user's eyes on the display on the outside of the headset. And that is something which I just think is absolutely unbelievably cool, because it's a digital recreation of the user's face, giving eye contact to the user that's in front of them. And to the person that's actually sitting there with the headset on, it's like someone walking through mist or fog that's coming up to them. So everything around them is still shaded out if they have it turned up, so they can't actually see their surroundings. And literally the person comes and sits near them, and it just shows the person's outline through the mist. So there's minimizing distractions. Now, the headset comes with an aluminium frame, which I think is probably a very good idea, considering that the weight of it is actually something that some users have posted on YouTube and reviewed online, have said that is actually something they were severely worried about, especially if you had it on for a long time. So say you had it on for more than an hour, it actually probably would be quite heavy. I can imagine actually over a period of time, I reckon that probably would put a bit of weight on your neck. But the battery on that subject is actually clipped onto the user's belt and comes down as the cable. And obviously that could actually technically be plugged into a wall, so you could have the augmented reality headset actually physically like plugged into the wall and running for hours, etc. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. So you could potentially, so you got like an option to walk around with it, and you got like I reckon about an hour's battery life, or you could have it plugged into the wall and you would potentially have a lot longer. Now it comes with a cushionable frame, obviously, so it feels comfortable on the face. And again, all the people that have actually physically tried this on and reviewed it have said it actually feels incredibly comfortable. Adjustable headband, which obviously you can like tighten up, etc. And the device itself incorporates an impressive suite of technology, including 5 sensors on the outside, 6 microphones, 12 cameras. Users will view content through 2 micro LED displays, each with the same size of a postage stamp, resulting in a total of 23 megapixels. To enhance the user experience, the Vision Pro tracks the user's eye using LEDs and infrared cameras, which also enable the device iris scanner, which apparently is meant to be top-notch, top of like industry kind of like level. This is like the best thing on the market currently, or that will be on the market coming out soon. And this is known as the Optic ID for the authentication process. Think Face ID, but with the eyes. Now the custom optical inserts in the actual headset itself were created by a separate company working with Apple. The device's speakers are placed in the actual headset band, improving and providing an immersive audio experience to the user itself, and can be virtualized surround sound as well. And so basically creating a much more in-depth, taking the user into the actual reality that they're in at the time. Now, powering the Vision Pro is the Apple M2 system, and the processing power, I believe, comes from the Apple R1, known as the Apple R1, so that's the processor itself. Now, setting up the Vision Pro involves a unique process of the user's face being scanned to generate a persona, a realistic avatar, which I must say looks so much better than Facebook's version when they've done displays for Meta and stuff like that. I can imagine someone definitely got fired when they were releasing this footage, because it looks so much better. And this avatar again can be used for FaceTime calls with other people. So for instance, you're doing a FaceTime call with say family, friends, or for business, etc., and you're using the headset. There people you're doing FaceTime with will display as icons, and then your actual face won't just show like obviously like yourself with the headset on. It will show your actual face, but a digital recreation of it. During this setup, an iPhone the iPhone itself will use the True Depth camera that can be utilized to basically create this interactive persona of the user's face. One of the fascinating things about the Vision Pro is that the amount of visual control you have around the background. So say you're watching a movie, or you could actually use the toggle on the actual headset to blacken the outside of the movie screen, or you could potentially phase in the Alps if you wanted to, or a beachfront around for your complete surroundings, so you don't actually have to see your office or see your lounge. You could put yourself into another environment and then work in that environment with the different displays, which I think is unbelievably cool. You could put yourself on an alien planet if you wanted to. And the way it works is that the apps themselves, for instance, like when you're looking at them in the actual like the trailer that was released, the actual full kind of like lowdown was the apps itself actually had some shadowing and like on the floor. So like, as you're watching them going across the floor in the lounge, you could actually physically see like the shadowing to give like yourself like a visual representation of where they are in the room. You could actually physically see the shadowing on the apps itself. Very cool. Again, some of the things that I think briefly mentioned before: finger tracking, eye tracking, speech recognition. Apps are displayed again in that floating 3D space environment. Again, you could have a pop-up keyboard, or you could actually, for instance, look at a search bar and then speak, and then Siri will pick up on that and input that as text. So Apple have promised the compatibility with lots of other different apps that iPhone and the iPads currently use for the Vision Pro. I think in the display, in the ones that they actually showcased, it was all the kind of like basic introductory apps that come with a normal iPhone, iPad. However, of course, in time, more and more apps and stuff will be tailored and created for the actual software itself. And I think that's why they were talking about releasing this to the developers now, so to give them time between now and release to actually create some applications that could be released on launch, that could go into the App Store and actually be downloadable. Now, in the showcased presentation, Microsoft 365 suite was shown, the Adobe was shown, FaceTime, WebEx, Zoom, and also Walt Disney. And that's something I thought was unbelievably cool, was that, like, for instance, you could be sitting in a lounge and, like, through, like, potentially what the Disney app could provide is that mixed reality experience to users. So, for instance, having a dinosaur room or Disney characters coming to life in the actual room, especially for children. I can imagine that would be absolutely incredible. Overall, it looks like a brilliant piece of hardware. First generation, so of course there will be some quirks, I'm sure, and I think in time probably they'll get rid of that battery pack and incorporate it into the headset somehow. It does seem like a bit, I can imagine that would become quite irritating, having a cable running down your back, or indeed increasing the battery life to last longer than an hour. But I think in time all those quirks will be worked out, and it looks absolutely amazing. But yes, £3,500, but it does look incredibly cool. That mixed reality experience, augmented reality, it just looks absolutely brilliant, and would change, for instance, like taking a picture, dropping it down and seeing like a 3D model of it. Incredibly cool. Be great for education as well, for learning, for work. So I think it's got a huge amount of scope. Again, this is ready to hit the market, hopefully in early 2024. Thank you for staying with me today. If you've made it to the end, thank you for being with me. This is the first in the series, the first podcast I've done for this channel. And hopefully going forwards, there'll be many more to come, touching on other elements, maybe again the Vision Pro, but also other technologies such as Neuralink and cloud-based computing, the latest products and services coming out.